An absolute pleasure to be able to speak to you. I'm Sarah from The Upcoming.
That's very kind of you to say so.
How does it feel to be here at the BFI Flare Film Festival?
It's always nice that people want to show the films. I mean, because I always think I have no audience at all. I'm a real optimistic.
And tell us, why did you want to make a film about Siegfried Sassoon's life? What was the original inspiration?
He was one of the three great poets of the First World War, and he was the only one who survived. And his life was, I think, very troubled. He was looking for redemption, and the thing about redemption is you can't find it in anyone else or any religion. You have to find it within yourself. And that's the tragedy of his life, I think.
And it feels like you have an attraction to people or characters who are outsiders. If you think of Emily Dickinson as well. So what's the appeal there for you? And do you feel you need to have some kind of personal connection to someone in order to make a film about them?
Yes, it's very true that I feel like an outsider. And when I was a child, I didn't realise, but I just listened to it. When I obviously got to puberty and I realised I was gay, I was another outsider, and I was a Catholic as well. And so I'm drawn to people who have had that struggle, particularly to Emily Dickinson, who never had any recognition when she was alive. She had her poems published in a provincial newspaper, and she's like the great poet of the 19th century in America. She's just the great poet, and that drew me to her. My other great love is Bruckner. He was a great symphonist, probably the greatest of all symphonists, and never had real recognition until he was much older and then died. My heart goes out to that, because I think when people are talented, they should be rewarded for that, especially when they are artists of that caliber. I get very passionate about it.
And tell us a bit about your cast, in particular Jack Lowden, who I actually spoke to at the E! Rising Star Awards. He was nominated for that, and he seems to have just gone from strength to strength in his career and so many different roles. So tell us about your cast, but in particular Jack.
Well, he just came in, and we had a few drinks together, and I just felt it's something that's very vague. You feel someone's right, and I thought he understands it, and I just knew he was right. And I've always cast people who do the best auditions, and what they do now, which I think is a great thing, they do their own self-tapes, which means that they don't have to come into a room with three people they've never seen before, and they can do it as many times as they like, and you can watch it as many times as you like. So I think that's a great step forward. But what was really wonderful is to see the level of talent in young people in this country, men and women. I mean, the talent is extraordinary, because at one time, British actors were not very good in film. Now they're fabulous. They know exactly what to do. They know exactly how to use their eyes. And that's so important. You look at them now, because if you actually do a close-up, you don't have to do anything, because the face is never still. Even if it's only the tiniest of movement, it's telling, and that's what's thrilling. That's what's thrilling.
And did you have to do a lot of research? And obviously, trying to contain someone's whole life in a film, you kind of have to pick and choose. How do you even go about that and kind of form the narrative that you want to put on screen?
Well, I mean, it took 6 years to get the film made. I mean, because I had no idea what kind of life he'd had. He knew everybody. He went everywhere, and you think, Christ, stay in just for a fortnight. No, just so they can have a break. But he knew everybody. But I thought, well, what have I got to extract from these things, which I think are important? Is poetry, obviously. The fact that he was gay, yes. He married like a lot of gay men did, and then he became a Catholic. And as an ex-Catholic, I was quite astounded by that. But it's a very interesting thing to do. But it comes back to what I found out really after I'd made it. He's looking for redemption, and redemption isn't there. You've got to find it, and some people don't. I haven't found it yet. And how do you go from day to day, knowing that redemption is not there? Because I mean, I was a very devout Catholic, very devout, and once that's gone, you pour it into, say, art. I mean, I love poetry, I love music. But there's still something that's not there, that's unfulfilled. I wish I could believe, in Christianity, but I just think it's a load of talk.
Of course, we are at the BFI Flare, and I think in particular this year they're focusing a lot on kind of uncovering queer stories from the past, perhaps that have been hidden. What do you think in terms of that aspect of the story? And I guess what we see is actually for those who are in privileged positions in the kind of higher classes of society, perhaps they did have more freedom than we think in the past to explore their sexuality.
They did, because they were privileged. It was still against the law, but they knew all the right people. And I mean, I grew up when it was still a criminal offence in this country. And what's changed, and this is really wonderful, is that ordinary young men and women, they accept it. And that's wonderful. And that's why the only thing I would say against it is the use of the word queer, because when I was growing up, it was said with such venom and contempt. It really made my blood chill. But the fact is that they were very privileged and they got away with it. They did get away with it. Whereas an ordinary lad in a factory wouldn't have done. Thank God the law was changed. But the fact that, we had them in bed together. And I was really worried. I thought, what if they say no? What will they do? And they were just infinitely more sophisticated than me. But I was terribly worried. But the young talent is fantastic, and the fact that you young people accept it, and it's not horrible. We mustn't fall into the big trap of modern culture, which is narcissism. We mustn't do that. But when you see the level of tolerance, that restores your soul. It just restores your soul, because it's the best thing of all. It's kind, and in Buddha he says the only important thing is kindness.
And finally, what do you hope people take away from watching this film? It feels like, there's a lot of themes in there, but is there something, a message of, like you say, don't look for redemption elsewhere, you've got to find it within yourself?
No, I just hope they laugh at the jokes.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with us, and enjoy the evening. Thanks so much for speaking. Thank you. Bye.
You're more than welcome.